Let's have a session on ESG. So ESG stands for Environment, Social, Governance. It first came to prominence in 2004 in a UN report that was an initiative with institutions around the world that was called Who Cares Wins. Now, the framework for ESG is to assess a company's impact on, of course, three things: the environment, social, and governance. And therefore, you could see it as a measure of CSR. Let's look at each of those three facets. So the first is environment. So this is how a company interacts with its environment, its surroundings. And it's looking at the impact on climate change. That could be emissions, greenhouse gases, and the impact of the company on that. Also, it could be the impact of the company on resource consumption, resources such as water, such as energy. And therefore, we could be looking at the impact on natural habitats, the impact on biodiversity. It's important to note, though, with environment, that this is how this impact is reported. How it's reported is governance. The actual impact itself is environmental. Now, the second facet is social. Social, we're looking at how a company treats its stakeholders. Its stakeholders could, of course, include its employees, its customers, its communities, the communities for which it operates within, the local communities. And here we might be thinking about, particularly for employees, health and safety, the well-being of the employees. Do they have safe working conditions? We could be thinking about community investment or investment in the community. We could be looking at companies' efforts to give back to their communities, their local communities, maybe to invest in infrastructure locally, support businesses locally, help with initiatives or additional programs, educational programs. And additionally, within social, we'll be thinking about the top of Carroll's CSR pyramid, which is philanthropy. And philanthropy, we're thinking about money, time, resources that the company puts in to try and improve society. And hopefully that will be aligned with the strategy of the company and their CSR strategy. Now, the third bit is governance. Now, governance is how the company is run. That might include several things, such as executive compensation. It could include the composition of the board. It could include the transparency we talked about before in reporting. Now, looking at some of those, composition of the governing body. We want your governing body of a company to be diverse, to be qualified, of course. That's in terms of the board of directors and the senior management. And you'd hope they would be making ethical decisions. So you've got ethical management there. And that they're going to implement ESG practices. And of course, a way to summarise this is you want responsible leadership and decision making. But on top of that, part of governance is thinking about the business itself, and the governance is responsible and transparent in its reporting, in likely its reporting of the environment and its social activities. So you could be thinking about its reporting of emissions, it's reporting of resources consumption, it's reporting of health and safety, community investment, philanthropy, and there's no greenwashing or blue washing that's involved there. More details on that, the cards up there. Now, the last thing to think about in ESG is investors will, of course, invest in companies, and they might want to look at the ESG of the business as a way to measure its CSR, and that helps deal with two of the three parts of Elkington's triple bottom line, which are people and planet. The other one, of course, is profit, and profit will be found through the financial statements, including, of course, the income statement. Hope that helps. See you at the next session.